Hello everybody, what is going on? My name is Peppers11. Today I want to connect a few videos for you guys to show you how you can build a nearly automatic Minecraft XP bank that will generate experience for you and you really don't have to do anything. Now I would recommend building this either near your base or in your spawn chunks so everything is always loaded in and you can get the maximum amount of experience as possible. Now I'm going to show you guys what this looks like in a creative world and then I'll take it back over to my survival world and show you what it actually looks like when you put everything into play. Alright guys, so there's a few different farms that you're going to actually need to make this almost completely automatic. And the first thing that you're going to need is a kelp farm. Here are the materials you're going to need about at a minimum 60 kelp, probably 80, but the cool thing about the kelp farm is that you can expand it. This was the video that I used to build my kelp farm, and it's actually quite simple if you don't want to watch it. If you're already familiar with kelp farms, you're basically going to place your line of kelp, then a building block, a piston, and an observer. The observers will detect when the kelp grows up to a full grok, and the pistons will push, and they will be collected into your hopper system and thrown on their way. The cool part about this is that it's completely expandable. You can up on top of the observers place more kelp and expand this as many heights as you want. Just so you can see behind it, behind the pistons is a row of blocks with redstone on top. So when the observers detect the kelp, the redstone will activate and the pistons will push. Now your collection system is going to collect, it can really collect anywhere, but another helpful farm or build that you can use for this is an elevator. Now an item elevator is super useful for transporting items. Here's all the materials that you'll need: a comparator, a repeater, 3 redstone, 4 building blocks, a soul sand dispenser, a water bucket, and some amount of kelp depending on how high you want your elevator. Now the item elevator is super simple. I'm just going to throw it in there. This was the video that I used. I did not come up with this build, but it's super simple. Comparator right behind this, redstone, repeater, redstone in the corner. You're going to have a building block and a building block here, a building block and a building block here, and a redstone right on top. And that is going to start dispensing the kelp. However, though the kelp is dispensing, you actually need it to float upwards. So you need to make all of these source blocks. So you can either go in here and place your water buckets at every block, or you can just take kelp, put a soul sand at the bottom, place it up the height that you want to go back down, break the kelp at the bottom, and this will turn into a bubble elevator. Now to prevent your items from throwing everywhere and going wherever they want to, just place, a building block on top. That way they won't fly everywhere and they can go into your actual collection system. Okay, so those are two builds out of the way. We have the kelp farm and we have an item elevator. The next thing that you're going to need is a cactus farm to use as what you're going to be smelting for the XP bank. Cactus farms can be literally found anywhere on YouTube. The basic idea is that you're going to have a slab, a piece of sand, a cactus, and then you're going to go in between the cactuses another slab, so when the cactuses grow, they break, and then they fall into your collection system. If you guys are a little more endgame and you have string, you can actually make this farm a little bit more compact by placing string in between the cactuses instead of a slab on top, since the cactuses won't grow when they're next, or they won't get destroyed when they're next to string, and that way you can fit a little more cactus into a little more compact area. Saves you a little bit of room. However, that's only if you have another excess string. These will collect into another system, and once again, these are going into another elevator, just like this. Now we get to the meat and potatoes of this actual farm. This is the video that I used in order to design it, but this is going to connect your kelp, which is collecting up here at the top. This kelp is going over and just all the way to the right. Now, the build itself is actually not that hard. Let me show you the material items. Here's the material list first. It's 6 hoppers, 3 droppers, 5 observers, a crafter, 2 building blocks, 4 iron bars, a comparator, or 2 comparators, a redstone dust, a smoker, 3 composters, 1 pot, and I have 64 melon slices. You really just need something that will fill the composter. It can be seeds, it can be anything. But here is the slice of 1 smoker. 1 smoker is enough to constantly smelt 2 furnaces or keep 2 furnaces going, assuming that you have a indefinite supply of cactus that will always keep the smoker running. So let me try to explain this and also show you guys how this works, as well as the build, because the build's a little confusing. It's really tall, but it is also really thin. It's only 1 block wide, so you can actually stack multiple of these next to each other, assuming that you have a big enough both kelp and big enough cactus farm to keep your furnaces and your smokers going. Um, so your smoker. On top of it, you're going to have a hopper, which is where the kelp is going to insert of it. And then on top of that, you're going to have your hoppers going in one direction to insert it. Once these fill up, you're going to have a hopper that is facing into a pot, and you're going to have another hopper that is facing into a crafter. The orientation of the crafter does matter. So you want this darker side in the back. You want kind of the crafting face facing outwards in the same direction as your smoker. And you want this little notch right here facing up. If it's not facing up, your items are going to dispense all over the place and the farm won't actually work. You're going to have a block underneath of it. You're going to have an observer, this one facing this way, and another observer like this facing arrow facing that way. Behind it, you're going to have another observer, a composter right here, and you're going to want to fill this up until you can see the little bone meal particles on top. On top of this, you're going to have a redstone connecting in between. This is the link, so when it actually detects a 9th dried kelp that is in this slot, the redstone will activate here, activate the dispenser, and your dried block will shoot up. On top of this, you're going to have 2 observers both facing this way, another observer, arrow facing that way, and then these 3 blocks right here is a dropper, and a dropper. These dropper outputs, the first 2 are both facing towards the sky. This last output is facing it towards this hopper, which is also going to the right. And that's basically the build. The only other thing that I forgot to mention is that in here, this is kind of like your backfill of dried kelp blocks. You want to fill it with iron bars. This will work because the iron bars can't go into the smoker to be used as fuel, so it will only register as dried kelp. Now, when you are first starting out this farm, you have a little bit of kelp, you are going to have to put some wood or some coal into the smoker at first to get it started, but once you get it started, as long as you have a constant supply of kelp, this is completely self-sustaining. This smoker has to get filled up with dry kelp first, then right behind it, this will have to be filled up with a complete stack of dried kelp blocks, but after that, you will be producing excess kelp. Your excess kelp can be put into a collection chest, leaving to your final build, your furnace system. Now, the furnace system isn't exactly pretty here, but it doesn't need to be. This functions quite well. Your kelp is going to be going into the side or the back of your furnaces. I have the double chest, so this one is going into the side, which is producing it with the dried kelp block as our fuel source. And then as far as your cactus, our cactus farm produces up here, goes down to the water, and these ones are going on top of the furnaces. This is the input of the furnaces, so cactuses always build. I designed it like this, meaning that this furnace is going to be filled before this furnace is, but depending on how you build it, you can get both furnaces activated at the same time. And these are going to fill up with your green cactus dye. When you want to collect your experience, you're going to flip a lever down in between these 2 hoppers. This is going to prevent the cactus from actually flowing into the chest, so it'll stop right here. And if you collect this green dye, all of your green dye inside of this chest is going to be collected for the experience. I think if you have an entire double chest, it can like fix netherite pickaxes that are almost broken. It can almost completely fix your armor. It gives you can go from 0 to I think level like 49. You can go from 0 to this level experience on a full double chest. The only reason that I said at the beginning that this isn't completely automatic is because once you collect your experience, your chest won't empty by itself. There are ways to make it empty by itself. You can follow a video like this, but it also involves a lot of complex redstone, so you just need to throw it out. It's very easy to do. So throw it out, collect your cactus, and yeah, you have your experience. Now, a few numbers that I wanted to show you just before we look at it in the survival world. You're growing kelp, you need a minimum of 60 growing. I recommend 75 or 80 to have good kelp production. This is going to produce 80 blocks an hour, 80 dried kelp blocks. 54 of them are going to be smelted between your smoker and your 2 furnaces. And that will give you 26 excess. So you could actually probably attach another furnace on top of it, or another furnace to the side, or you can just have some excess fuel for however you want. This is about 26 because kelp grows on like an RNG pattern, so it won't always be 26. It might be a little bit more, it might be a little less. You're growing cactus, you want a minimum of 50. I would recommend probably at least 64. This is going to produce 720 cactus an hour, and this is going to make sure that both of your furnaces are constantly producing cactus. Of course, this might not be exactly the same at the start because your hoppers behind it are going to fill, but this is basically going to be constant use of your furnace. And if you want to have more cactus, you can expand your farm, you can expand your kelp, and just like that, you can expand this all the way and have plenty of near automatic XP. Let me show you what this looks like on a survival world. So this is my cactus farm that I have built. It is about 700 cactus. It produces way more cactus than I ever need, but that's okay because if I ever expand, I know that I will have enough cactus. Going down, I'm not going to explain too much just because you've already seen it. My kelp farm is completely underground. I have about 200 kelp for 3 smokers, which is actually a little bit too little. I'm actually losing kelp in the long run, but it's at a very slow pace. So probably having 75 kelp um, per smoker is actually going to work out. As you can see in the back, it doesn't matter that the redstone is touching. These are all fine. Your kelp comes in here. Once my kelp fill up and everything behind them is filled up, it will go into this chest, which goes down over here and will go into both of my furnaces. This will produce into the double chest from my cactus, which is up here, which collects back here. This is what it might look like on your regular farm. And then I have all the cactus that I used when I collected it. Of course, this isn't like on a survival world, you can implement your own waterways or your own elevators. It doesn't have to look the same. You can make it look a lot nicer than what I have, but the idea is the same. And I hope that by connecting these videos and connecting these ideas for you, it makes it understand a little bit better. If anyone has any questions about what I did today, please feel free to comment below and I'll try to work out everything out. I wanted to make a compact and quick video that most people could understand, and I hope this accomplished that. If it did, please drop a like, and I hope you guys have a fantastic night.